Hey Sunrise, it's Andrew here with your small group questions for this week as we start our new series on the Sermon on the Mount. So we'll be spending some time in 5, 6, and 7 of the book of Matthew over the next roughly year and a half as we dive into Christ's teaching. And so as we open it up, what makes the Sermon on the Mount so important to the Christian faith? So as you read these 3 chapters, now we'll focus mostly on verses 1 through 3 today, as that is our sermon text. But as you look at these 3 chapters as a whole, what makes them so important for us as believers? For as you read it, there's clearly an audience in view, and we see this in the fact that it uses present tense verbs and the idea that this is a reality now. This is something that we are called to be, and it's what he was instructing his disciples to be. So why is it important to see this as a lived out reality of what he is going to teach? And so thinking through that, we then see the context, and we're going to see this as it comes to chapter 5. This is his first big teaching moment in the book of Matthew. How does the context help us to understand what's going on? How does the context fill out a greater appreciation for the theology that's being laid out in our text as Jesus begins to unpack the reality of who he is and the kingdom of heaven that he has come to bring? So that is where we begin to unpack. So we have Christ teaching. He calls his disciples, or we see his disciples come to him as he sits to teach. Then he teaches them with the idea of blessed, or blessed are those. And so in this one we have blessed are the poor in spirit. Why does he begin with poor in spirit? Why is this the first qualification that he gives for blessing? So you think about it, you unpack the reality of that term. You begin with the very idea, then, what does it mean to be blessed? So blessed are the poor in spirit, but what does blessing look like? How is the biblical idea of blessing different than a worldly view of blessing? And helping us then unpack through that this reality of poor in spirit, and then the kingdom of heaven. What does being poor in spirit have to do with inheriting or possessing the kingdom of heaven? For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Why is the kingdom of heaven so important to Jesus' teaching in the book of Matthew and in the Sermon on the Mount? What is the kingdom of heaven that we're so striving to see and experience? So again, these are just some basic things that you can begin to unpack as you work through the Sermon on the Mount. This begins to lay the foundation for everything that we're going to read and learn about over the coming months as we unpack this wonderful foundational text in the life of a believer. Can't wait to see you guys on Sunday. Have a great week.